welcome to day 2 of New York Comic Con 2018.
Only 2 days.
Only 2
Felt
days.
like a week.
We're all feeling it right now. I'm joined here by perhaps my favorite artist, Yanick Paquette. How you doing?
Hey, man. Good, absolutely.
You'd be surprised how often I do the handshake and people don't get me back.
What?
And I'm just left like this.
It's very particular.
Yeah, very professional. If you want to see last year's interview where I talked to Yanick about Wonder Woman Earth 1 Volume 1 and Swamp Thing with Scott Snyder, you can click in a video, probably up here somewhere, I don't know.
That's the magic
of
editing, right?
Post.
Wow.
How are you enjoying your con so far?
It's great. I mean, New York is always a crazy madhouse of many people. So it's nice. I mean, this year I had to do a launch of beside DC. I'm working now with Humanoid Associé, and we've just launched a series of books, and that was exciting. And now I'm back to watercolor and craziness in general. So I'm all good.
What's your favorite part about doing these conventions? Is it doing the press stuff, or is it doing commissions, or?
Yeah, really, it's meeting people. You got to understand. Drawing comics is a lonely thing. You're trapped in a basement.
It feels like a basement.
Well, but most of the time, that's my life. Basement, coffee, solitudes. And then you go here, it's just like crazy. So it's nice. It's a good contrast.
Before I even came here, someone came right up to you and said, "I can't believe you remembered me." So it seems like you're cultivating relationships.
Yeah, well, no, not really, because he mentioned his kid. And one of the things that I do, I should not say that online.
Yeah.
It's going to be problematic. Well, no, I need to do it because I mentioned kid and stuff. So I'm gonna finish it anyway. What I do, you understand? What I do is I do exchange of drawing with kids. When I feel like it, I'm not forced to do so. I just want to mention it. But sometimes when there's a kid there, they're bored. I ask them what's their favorite character, and then we do an exchange. So I draw a little Batman, because that's their favorite. But then they got to draw me a monster, and at the end we exchange. So they get a free sketch, basically, and I get like a monster from my vast collection of monsters from kids under 10. I got, I don't know, maybe hundreds by now.
Huh.
So anyway, the guy mentioned, my kids are enjoying it, and I figure, I must have them drawn stuff. So I just mentioned, they drew me something, even though I didn't remember for real. And he was like, "Oh man, your memory is so awesome." Let's see, it's
just
a
on the
trick.
spot.
Tricks all the time.
I did not know you had cultivated such an army of monsters.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's stuff in there which is bizarre.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they have access. I give them access to everything that I have, so that's include my watercolor. And some of these kids, they do like weird shaped monsters, and they go straight for the skin color there, and then it's weird. I'll let you imagine what kind of monster I got.
I'll say no more.
One day I'll just gonna put all of that stuff online, like a gallery of kids around the world giving me weird monsters.
That kind of awkwardly transitions into Wonder Woman, since a big part of the first
segue right into it, man.
Well, a big theme of the first book is kind of the sexual overtones of William Marston's original work.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah,
nice.
See, not too bad. You and Grant Morrison started working on this in maybe 2014, 2015?
Yeah, the first issue,
And I wondered how your relationship with the character has evolved over the last 4 or 5 years in light of the success of the first volume, or with the movie. How's that changed your relationship with the character?
Well, the movie, I really enjoyed the movie, but I don't think it did influence us in any way.
Yeah.
In part because the movie is very the modern incarnation, like the fighting Wonder Woman. Smiling, but fighting.
Yeah.
The Wonder Woman that we're trying to convey is more based on the 40s.
Yeah.
And so, she's going to try to avoid battle at any cost, almost, in her books, and discuss stuff around, which I feel is something that the world need. You go online, people get into argument and battle for no reason or very little. So Wonder Woman is very generous and open-minded and calm and open to discussion instead of fistfights, which really reflects the idea of the 40s, because I think initially Wonder Woman was an alternative to the Batman and Superman at the time, like the more macho type comics. So fits right in.
I haven't had an opportunity to read Volume 2. It just dropped Wednesday, and
It just went out, so it's all right. You are absolved.
I ran everywhere upstairs looking for it. But from what I've read about it...
I know that you tried. He tried.
I tried. But I saw some interviews of Grant promoting the book, and he talked about in Volume 2, there's a character named Dr. Psycho, who kind of is a juxtaposition of the Amazonian culture in that they are trying to use mind control as a aversion to actual combat. And this character is a sociopath who, is able to manipulate and exploit people through similar methods, kind of like William Marston's lie detector or the lasso of Wonder Woman.
I guess so. Well, the thing is, Dr. Psycho is actually an old enemy of Wonder Woman from the 40s. And back then he was like this weird-looking midget-type creature that would hypnotize women.
Yeah.
And so the lady would have no will of their own, and it would probably bind them because everything was about bondage back then.
Yeah. Right.
And the way Grant actually took that guy and modernized him is he's now the ultimate pickup artist, which is kind of some sort of an illusion of relationship. He creates relationship with one woman as a friend, but then because he's not genuine, everything is just manipulation. And Grant actually went all the way to finding out what were those PA technique,
Oh,
those,
interesting.
and he went. I mean, usually the script from Grant. Sometimes they're specific. Most of the time they're pretty open for me to interpret as I wish. But there's an entire scene in that second volume where everything is painfully described in smallish detail because these pickup artists have all sort of visual cue and gesturing in order to convey idea. For instance, it would throw stuff around his shoulder, like just whatever, mentioning an idea that he previously associate that gesture with something that we reject.
Yeah.
And it's all very subtle, and it seems like this is actual techniques that some jerks are doing out there.
Well, that kind of gets to the meat and the heart of what I wanted to ask you about the pickup artist. What were your challenges in trying to convey a person who is so precise and with displays his expertise in manipulating people like that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I tried as much as possible to have him convey overconfidence. He's very confident in himself and in control, and he wanted to assert control on other people. So he's very mastering everything. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like always, and we wanted to draw a guy that is good looking, but not obviously so. So it's not like, oh yeah, of course it's the Unk, and Wonder Woman will be attracted to this guy. He's kind of short and weird looking, but still a lot of charisma and confidence, and so it's a weird mixture.
A big theme in the first volume of Earth 1 is the first volume is about Wonder Woman being on trial, and Grant and you have mentioned that it's kind of a larger macro picture of women kind of being on trial by men.
Yeah.
What do you think the differences going into the volume 2 are? What are the larger themes for the second volume for you?
Yeah, well, it's all about control and power, and the idea there is really the center idea is we are debating this philosophy of feminism that the Wonder Woman and the Amazon are trying to sell to the men's world.
Yeah.
The idea that willingly submitting to the men's world, if you're willing to submit to a loving authority of the woman's, the world will be a better place. So this is what she has to sell. In a way, and of course it means like the big powerful men of the world now are going to get ripped of their power, and there is some obvious parallel to what we're living now in the real world, and we didn't plan that, of course, but as the book came out, it's very timely because it's this idea of losing men's power in another context. And of course, this pickup artist will challenge Wonder Woman, and she kind of likes it because it's somebody that can actually, well, wait a minute, this philosophy doesn't work for this and that, but they're friend. But through all this entire process, we can really explore the ins and out, and is it really workable? Is it making any sense at all? and it's a fight of idea.
Yeah.
And the first volume, as you remember, there's very little battle. There's no the typical physical let's fight and show cars at each other. In the second volume, there's a little bit of that, but the centerpiece is a fight for the idea, and like it's one woman on one side and this Dr. Psycho on the other side fighting that idea. And I'll let you see how it turned out.
Okay.
But Dr. Psycho, in a way, is trying to turn Wonder Woman positive idea into something warlike enough just to give a pretext for the man's in power to say, oh, see, we're going to be victims and we need to strike back before. Which is, again, that victim card and playing, even though you're in total control of everything, you're in power, is something we see out there in the real world.
With seeing a lot of these parallels now of kind of the gender roles of 2018, does that change the way you view your own material?
Well, in retrospect, it is, but we never really crafted this thing to address what's going on in the world now. Although I would say that when we did the first one, and then the second one, when we started talking about it, it was during the campaign of 16.
Yeah.
And the idea there was that probably Hillary would win and slew the dragon at the end of the video game, the last boss at the end, the big battle, which is like, and Trump is a nice symbolic last guy to crush, because he do represent a lot of that the older way of seeing the world. And we, like everybody else, we thought that was a done deal. And after that, we would live into a different, at least the feminist movement in America, at least, would have reached a milestone, and then we could go from there. As it turned out, there was still a lot of work to do.
Still is.
Still a lot of work. And I think initially that conveyed a different spin on the second volume from Grant's part. But as we moved on, I mean, this book has been in the can and done and finished since March.
Right.
So whatever happened after March in the real world, of course, never really had any impact on what we've done with the book. But somehow, good timing still.
In collaborating with Grant, has your work relationship changed much in the last 4 years? If I recall, last year you told me right here at New York Comic Con was the first time you actually met him in person. So how have things actually changed with him and you?
It's still the same. I mean, this is the way we talk to each other is through the work. So he's sending me 20 pages. I'm drawing 20 pages. I'm sending those to him, and he reflects on what, almost like a discussion, like a phrase that this is what I'm saying, and then he says 10 pages, and then I'm looking at these pages, and my response is 10 drawing about these. So this is the discussion, and through this we can change course. We can react and go into a different direction because we discovered something. So this is how I see the relationship is through the work. We never really call each other. At every beginning of every script, there's a moment where you take a time and pause and talk about, to me, directly. And then we go into the rest of the story. But that's all. I mean, it's Grant Morrison, so... And I know I'm not alone into that category of guys that we've been working years and years together. But still, this is the level of interaction. It's very minute, but at the same time, it's very intimate and deep because it's the work, I'm putting so much time, he's putting too much thought into it that the communion is the product.
Yeah, and I mean, the genesis of the first volume speaks for itself, I think. I look forward to reading the second one. I wanted to ask you about paneling, because one thing I really, really like about the first volume is how you panel the book. You use ropes to kind of structure each page differently. Obviously, I haven't read the second volume yet.
It's even more, I mean, if you like the paneling in the first one, the second one is like an orgy of panel type.
Right.
It's the absolute extreme.
I appreciate that.
I mean, in the first volume, I used broken pottery to imply that we're talking about the far past, like the mythic period of the Greeks, and the lasso to say that we are under the effect of the lasso and tell part of a flashback episode because it's all the entire story is structured around the fact that we always have a few flashback in there. That second volume is taking placed in a prison tense, so it's not. There's no that much. That's full. It started with a flashback, but most of it is like prison tense. But what I do is I'm using art. It's all right.
Okay.
I was gonna.
No, get into it. Let's do it.
So it's a battle of art movement. On top of the drawing and grand story, I'm adding my own level of other story.
Yeah.
It's just a battle of art movement between Art Nouveau and Art Deco.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all the Amazonian border, and that's including a Wonder Woman, are Art Nouveau type panel layout. So Art Nouveau is very curvy, it's very elegant, it's natural, it's organic, well. And the bad guy is very intellectual and strict and masculine, and he's Art Deco. And Art Deco is everything is 90 degree. It's like very rigid in terms of structures. It's based on numerical solid ground, like 3. They love the number 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes. And those two panels looks very different, but whatever is in control of the situation, the panel border is going to reflect that. So when Wonder Woman meets that guy, she's in control, but slowly his panel border will eat up at her own, and eventually you will realize that in a specific moment in that book, like the when we reach the bottom of the relationship, it's almost, I wanted to make it almost a scary moment of Art Deco crazy madness. So there's 2 pages where it is extreme, and it's Art Deco out of control.
Oh, wow.
With the lasso mixed into it, because there's a bit of lasso action at that moment. So there's this. There's also the Nazi. The Nazi, they have their own panel board.
Yeah.
And their panel border is based on Nazi design, like the SS.
Yeah.
And the proportion of black and white in those things, and how I can extend it into a panel structure. But then those panel structure can also be bent into Art Deco or Art Nouveau by making them more organic. So all of these elements play in terms of who's in control, who's taking control of other aspect of that other character, and so on. So crazily, I would say that if you take out all the picture, all the word, you could just look at the panel border and have a cool story of, art is fighting against other type of art.
I can see why Grant really likes working with you.
Brainy stuff.
It's funny because before I talked with you today, I was talking to Marco, who's filming this right now, who will be editing this later, about how much we appreciate how eloquently you talk about your art. And I want to know...
Which is awesome because I barely speak English.
Well, you speak English well enough to eloquently talk about your craft.
Just enough. Fun fact, I've actually learned English when I was 20 because of work. Before that, I speak French, but my kid speaks French. I speak French all the time. And when I started working in comics, I had to understand I got my first script. I couldn't understand it. So every single word with a dictionary, trying to figure out, pens. Oh, he's putting his pens. All this. So now I can express.
You went the extra 9 yards. I was in Quebec earlier this year, and all I could say was merci.
That's good enough.
Yeah, I did my
that's
best.
The basis.
That's right.
Of all things.
I wanted to know if you could characterize how your work has evolved throughout your career. What has changed? What has evolved for you?
Yeah, well, I had a slow evolution, I would say. Some people right out the gate, they're great. They know what they're doing. They're solid. They know how to draw. But for me, I was learning in front of people. My first Wonder Woman series, for instance, it was all about surviving the deadline, trying to draw feet, to draw ends, trying to figure out how to do hair that looked all right. Yeah. But I've reached a moment later down the road that I knew how to do my things. There were no graphic challenge, like basic graphic challenge, how to do a shirt, or I knew to do all of those things. So my creative workload had to be somewhere else. And that's how I started to think a lot more about how to tell the story with panel borders, or how to put the emphasis on. For instance, when I was doing Swamp Thing or Batman Inc., I always, as an adult, tried to find an angle in which something in it would be my lead direction. For instance, Batman Inc. was about foreign culture.
Right.
And so everything in it was like fully researched to the max. to reflect this idea, and will influence every decision, artistic decision I would do after, or something like Swamp Thing was my own relationship to comics and to Swamp Thing in general. So I would plug the names of my forebears and try to salute some style from the past and reuse some of the beset flares for panel layouts and stuff like that. So every project I have a different angle. And the first Wonder Woman was, I just came out of Swamp Thing, which was super dark.
Yeah.
And I went, I want to go as white as possible.
That makes sense.
As you know, and plus Superman Man of Steel just came out around that time, and I thought that was super bleak for a Superman movie.
Agreed.
And I thought, well, maybe it's impossible to do something upbeat and bright about superheroes, but I needed to experience it and try to find a way. And Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, is that experience, trying to find out if I can keep as much of the white of the page as possible in situations. So.
Another reporter once told me that they interviewed Steven Spielberg, and he said after he finished Schindler's List, he felt like he would never top that in his career again.
And that was it for him?
Yeah, but he said he would work hard, but that was like his magnum opus. I was wondering if you felt that in your own career so far. Have you hit the magnum opus, or is that something you're always yearning toward?
Well, I hope not. I don't feel like it. I swing from one project to the other. I think I need some darkness again.
Okay.
I mean, there's still one issue, Wonder Woman Earth 1 to like volume 3 to go through. But that volume 3 is gonna, well, so far it's shaping up as the Return of the King type of the trilogy, where there's gonna be hordes of robots and army trying to fight for the island. So something like all the physicality that we didn't get, I guess, in those two first volumes, all the non-fight that we enjoyed, now we're going to pay for it by having the most epic, ridiculous fight. Well, that's the plan. Again, we never know. It might totally change by the end of the day. But that's where, arrows are pointing.
Right.
But after that, I need something dark. I want to do, just to clean my palette. And when you stay in one mode for a while and then you change, it just renew your artistic capacity to reinvent.
Yeah.
So
back to Swamp Thing.
Back to Swamp Thing. But maybe not Swamp Thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Sure.
We'll see. Let's keep it a mystery for now.
Okay, sounds good. A couple smaller questions before we head out here.
Yep.
What is your favorite snack food to eat while you're working?
Oh boy, I don't eat.
Snack?
I don't snack.
Drinks?
Coffee, a lot of it. So yeah, I'm mostly drink coffee.
How do you take your coffee?
Cream and sugar.
Okay,
I would say, or milk and sugar. I don't mind. I'm not like, no, I'm a milk guy. I'm a cream guy. That's not me. I'm open-minded. Whatever's left in the fridge.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll go for it.
Is there anything else you want to promote that we didn't talk about today?
Nothing that has been announced officially yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, ask me next year.
It sounds like a plan. We got to keep the tradition going. That's what you said earlier. All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for the time. The handshake once again. See?
So, like a pro.
That's right. We're just a couple of pros. I've been Phil Casey here at New York Comic Con. Make sure you find us on all social media at The Comics Palace, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Ring the bell, subscribe, do the whole 9 yards, okay? Until next time, we'll see you with Yanick again next year.
Again.
Take care.